John Kincade Show on 97.5, The Fanatic, Philadelphia.
A very popular feature. Well, we've done it once, and you guys didn't trash it completely. So we're going to call it popular, is Jamie Lynch's Reach Around.
Let's do a reach around of the NFC East.
This is a very mature segment. We're football guys, and we talk football.
I got asked about it the other day at the airport.
Yeah.
Is it really called? Yeah, and I said,
we're reaching around the NFC East.
Okay.
How about sex positions? So, before we lead into later in this week's reach around, we'll actually dive into the game lines and all of that. I wanted to take a broader scope at the teams in the division and what the sports books think of them. Win totals, MVP odds, if applicable, big player and touchdown totals. So let's start a little south of here in Washington, D.C. The Washington football team, they're getting a lot of, this team, they could be the surprise team in the division. They're getting a lot of that kind of love. So I was curious what their win total was for the season. On the DraftKings Sportsbook, they come in at 8.5, which is a pretty good number for them because the defense should be able to carry them to a couple wins.
I'd bet over.
I would too, I think.
But they have a first-place schedule.
They do.
And I don't know how much you read into that year to year, but that
means a lot.
I think having to play that first-place schedule is going to be potentially an issue for them.
I got to admit, I am against the grain on this.
You think the opposite?
I don't see Washington being a 9-10 win team.
Wow.
I don't.
But 9 is almost 500. You know what I
remember
mean?
it's 9 and 8 now.
I'm not saying I'm right.
Is that because of? Is it because of Fitzmagic?
Partially, yes.
Because you know he's not going to be a starter for.
Don't love that offense. The defense, yes, but when I don't like that offense a little bit.
Remember, they have to go to Buffalo. They've got Kansas City at home. They have to go to Green Bay. I'm trying to think of the other game because the first place games. They play a tougher schedule. It's not not fun.
Ryan Fitzpatrick, touchdown total on the season. Over-under is 23. It's
a good number.
Over.
That's a good number, too.
Over.
Terry McLaurin's over-under is 6 touchdowns total.
Over.
The team in general is minus 175 not to make the playoffs. So, interesting lines in that it's saying they're right there.
To me, they're the most logical team to make the playoffs in the division.
Really?
Because they have the best unit in the division, not even close. The Washington defense is the best. If you just go defense, offense for all the teams in the division, it is so by far the best unit.
That defensive line is 4 high first-round picks, and they're nasty. So let's head a little, south of there and west to Dallas. Their season total comes in at 9 wins on the year on the DraftKings Sportsbook. Again, 9 is... It's not the 10.5 we're seeing in the NFC West. It's not 10, which you're seeing in Seattle. It's still 9. That kind of tells me there's a really good chance they're not dominant. Like, that is just slightly better than 500 in today's NFL.
I don't see Dallas being dominant.
Dominant as far as the division?
I don't see them being a dominant team, but I see them being... They're a better team than the Eagles.
I could see 10 or 11 coming out of them.
Could you really?
Wow. Okay.
I think that offense is really good, yeah.
Yeah, CeeDee Lamb's going to, him and Amari Cooper's probably the best 1-2 punch at wide receiver in the NFL? Question mark? If CeeDee, is what he thinks. Dak Prescott plus 1,800 on your MVP odds in the league ranks him about like 12th or so.
I'll cover the bet.
Yeah?
You want to bet Dak for MVP?
I'm good.
I'll cover the bet.
What I did find interesting with the Dak numbers, his touchdown total is not currently listed. And I wonder if that's because injury related.
Sure.
Well,
I didn't know that.
He was the only quarter. This is just on DraftKings. It might be listed elsewhere. But it might be because they don't know how to set this line yet.
Okay. That's fair.
I found that a little interesting. The New York Giants come in at 7 wins as the over-under on the season, slightly better than the Eagles. Minus 300 not to make the playoffs. Daniel Jones' touchdown total comes in at 24. So higher than Fitzpatrick and higher than Jalen Hurts.
Lower for that, and I believe the Giants are the last place team in the division.
Wow. All right.
I think the Giants are going to finish last.
I definitely could see it. It's funny how many times we talk about the Giants in the national talk. Saquon Barkley is kind of taking a back seat.
He's gotten early word is he's cleared for week 1 this weekend. It was kind of up in the air.
How many games does he get in?
They're saying they want
7?
They want to see how he responds to this week in practice and make sure there's no setbacks. But he could be playing week 1
because I mean it's such a far drop. And look, it was a monumental injury. But remember, their offense was totally Saquon, and now it's Daniel Jones, and it's like, well, hopefully Saquon. I understand the injury, but I haven't even heard much of if Saquon's healthy. ...
Yeah,
I think the Eagles and the Giants are in a dogfight for last.
I agree.
And I think Joe Judge could go south. That whole thing could go south.
Absolutely. Kenny Golladay, their big new addition, his touchdown total on the year is set at 5.5. He's another guy that has to stay healthy to really.
I'd go over that.
I probably would too. And then the things with the Eagles that jumped out to me, as we know, we've discussed, 6.5 is the win total, the lowest in the division.
I already bet it. Bet under.
Minus 400 to not make the playoffs. Ew. That's a spicy one right there. Jalen Hurts' touchdown total on the year is 20.5. Lowest in the division.
I'm going over because I think they're committed to playing him a lot. Like I'm going to go over on that one.
I think I would also. Because I think I would go over because he's going to be in there.
They're not looking to. I mean, he's going to get his chance to play
And look, they might be getting blown out of a lot of games where they're just scoring some points and throwing some touchdowns and stuff like that.
And the other two with wide receivers that jumped out to me, Devontae Smith.
What is the let me guess, touchdown number.
His touchdown number. What do you got?
6.5.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Slightly lower, 5.5.
Oh, I'm betting the over. I'm betting the over easily.
And Jalen Reagor, you want to take a guess?
4.5.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Close, 4.
Which is bad. That's bad. He's got to be better than that. He's got to be.
So if they both.
By the way, do you have the numbers on Miles Sanders?
I can probably get it real quick.
Miles Sanders
dropped?
I'd be very interested in.
I've never cheered harder for somebody to not drop the ball. I don't want you to be right at all, John.
You're sponsored. This segment sponsored by Butterfinger.
Those are good cookies.
They are good. You got to pick them out of your teeth, though.
Yeah, they do kind of cake on there.
Okay, because Miles Sanders is the one that I'm interested in knowing about. Because his yardage.
Oh,
his
yardage
too.
I'll go yardage without Jamie before he looks it up. I'll go yardage, rushing yardage. I'll say 800.
You're saying that's the number they'll post?
That's what I would post.
I think they'll say 825.
Okay.
So
what
I
would
think
you
they're
take?
going to go a little more than that, and I think I would go over.
You go over?
I absolutely would go over. Because I know he's going to bust 3 or 4 big runs. They're going to be 60 yards, 50 yards, something like that.
5.9 a carry last year. He should.
So I think he's going to be able to do that.
Yeah, he should bust some of them.
There's so many bets. I'm struggling finding it.
It's all right.
Right
Don't
now.
worry about it.
I would take his rushing over, maybe receiving under. Whatever it is, just as a whole.
Well,
I think Gainwell's going to.
I love that.
I think he's going to have a role in this passing game.
Gainwell, I do too.
I think Miles might be the runner and Gainwell might be a little bit more of the receiving threat.
And if that comes about and you can put both of them back there at some point where maybe Sanders does get rid of the drops, now defenses have to really think.
I don't believe that I'm not doing he is this guy, but I do believe he can bring the element of Brian Westbrook to this offense. I love the Gainwell pick. I watched him in the AAC. I watched him against good teams in the AAC and perform. I'm a believer. I'm a believer that he can be a contributor. Not a star.
Yeah, sure.
Right off the bat, but he can be a contributor to this offense.
He better know how to pick up a block.
There he is, Jamie Lynch.
Has to.
If he wants to stay on the field.
The John Kincade Show on 97.5, The Fanatic, Philadelphia.